It's so great to have everybody here and to welcome you to our second in-person GRICon here in Orlando. You can see on the screen, the welcome screen here, we've got zebras in the CureGRIN colors, so we're calling these our GRIBRAs. And for those who don't know, zebras are the symbol of rare disease because when people go to medical school, they've traditionally been taught this saying that if you hear hoofbeats, think horses. And so the idea is they don't want doctors to all think of themselves as house. They want them to focus on the most likely solution first. And the rare disease community has kind of turned that around to say, hey, don't forget, maybe most people are horses, but there are also a lot of zebras. And so that's why zebras are the focus of the rare disease community, and that's why we have these GRIBRAs to welcome you today to GRICon. I also want to welcome you to Florida. And do you know, so Florida has both alligators and crocodiles, and the way that you tell the difference is if it's an alligator, you're going to see it later, and if it's a crocodile, you'll see it in a while. So just if you encounter one in the wild, keep that in mind. Here's the Wi-Fi for the room. Sometimes the cellular connection doesn't work that well in here, so it's Wyndham Conference, and the password is Grand Meetings. I want to just talk briefly about the highlights for today. So this morning in this room, we're going to hear from Kasha Morris, who is a rare disease mom who's going to talk about a rare disease miracle in her community. We're going to talk about a document that CureGRIN's putting together called How to Cure GRIN Disorders. We're going to hear from patients and parents themselves telling their own stories, and we're also going to talk about mortality in GRIN disorders. And then this afternoon, we have two separate tracks. So in this room, we've got a track that's called Living GRI. And so in this room, we've got sessions on advocating for your child with GRI disorders and on patient and parent priorities for what we're looking for when we talk about treatments and cures. Next door, we have a session, the Learning GRI session, and so we have a session there on epilepsy movement disorders and neurostorms, as well as one on cortical visual impairment. And the idea here is at the last conference in Boston, for those who were there, you'll remember that we had a kind of a high-level scientific researcher track. Well, we took that and we put that yesterday. So the idea is that both tracks here should be accessible to families and researchers, and so, divide up your family or pick what you're most interested in. And we've asked all the researchers to really try to keep their science accessible today. And then tonight we have our GRI Patient Impact Awards session that will be back in here. I want to thank all of our sponsors. We could not have put this conference around without you. This morning I want to highlight a couple of our gold sponsors. So Lundbeck Longboard and Praxis, you're going to hear from both of them tomorrow. And I also want to give a huge thank you to our diamond sponsor, GRIN Therapeutics. We could not have put this conference on without GRIN Therapeutics. So I want to give them and our other sponsors a round of applause. Thank you. And I also have the pleasure to announce, to introduce Dr. Bruce Leuchter, who is a medical doctor. He is founder and CEO of GRIN Therapeutics and Nervati, and he is going to give some remarks this morning as well.
Thank you, Keith, and welcome everyone to Orlando. It's a pleasure to be with you here and have an opportunity to open up the conference and look forward to a really productive couple of days in Orlando. As Keith said, I'm Bruce Leuchter, the CEO of Nervati Neurosciences and GRIN Therapeutics, and we couldn't be more honored to represent you all in the work we do on the drug development side of the equation for GRIN-related disordered patients. I first had an opportunity to speak with this community in 2022 during the GRI virtual conference, before the world had normalized yet again, and we were all back in person, which is obviously a welcome change. And at that time, I talked about how important it is to work with patients in the patient advocacy community, caregivers, families whose insights are incredibly valuable to us. If you only knew how valuable your experiences are to us, I think you'd be even more impressed with the collaboration that we've been able to forge together as a group. We listen to you. We care about the experiences you've had. We do that because we care about people and we care about patients. We also care about getting our drug development work right, and we can't do that unless we have you alongside of us, helping us to understand what you experience and what your patients and family members experience, and we incorporate that into the work we do. I'll come on to that in a bit more detail in just a moment. We'd like to congratulate this community for all the progress you've made. It's a grassroots effort that, in the grand scheme of things, is still relatively young, and yet the momentum has been remarkable. And we've seen it on the drug development side of the equation, given the close collaboration. And you've got a lot to be proud of. It's a growing community, as I think this room, is a testament to, and hopefully will grow more in the years to come. And part of the reason for that, I think, is because of the awareness that you all champion around these diseases. So much so that we now have updated guidelines by the American Academy of Pediatrics, who agree that we need to properly diagnose patients to get to the right and clear treatment that can provide the greatest benefit. In our case, it's a treatment in development, a therapeutic candidate in development. But we need to know precisely what each patient is suffering from genetically. What is their genetic footprint, fingerprint, and how do we use that to implement the best possible course for how we develop drugs and how patients get treated? I can't overstate how important that is, and I think with these updated guidelines and what we hope is more access and more payer reimbursement for whole exome sequencing, this room will grow, the community will grow, and those who come into the fold as a product of the increased awareness and the potential to use these technologies are going to benefit from all the work that you all have done to date. They're lucky in many ways once they do find the community that can embrace them, help them understand the condition that they're managing through, and provide the necessary support and education to make their lives easier. I think we're all aligned, whether on the drug development side or the patient advocacy side, to make that a reality. Really helping people live their lives in the most productive way is something that I think unifies us all. We know this is not your day job, and we know that the work that you undertake to care for your family members and friends who contend with this underlying set of diseases is challenging. And what is humbling to us is to know that even though there are day-to-day challenges that you contend with on activities of daily living, the regular blocking and tackling of daily life, you find the opportunity to contribute your time and your minds, your effort to solving this issue, broadly defined across GRIN disorders. That's really hard to do. We do it perhaps on a narrower scope in terms of drug development, and we know how much you help us with that and how time-consuming that is, let alone managing day to day and living your lives beyond that. So it's important for us to communicate to you that while this is a nice, well-circumscribed couple of days' worth of education and hopefully some fun, it's a heavy lift, and we want to be a part of helping you manage through that, ultimately with the goal, of course, of delivering a novel therapy that can help you and your family members. We have a couple of things that we're going to discuss over the next couple of days with people who are associated with GRIN and Nervati, and I wanted to call out a couple of those because I think it's a good indication of just how robust this collaboration is and how critical it is for the work that we're doing. So you'll hear from Hilary Savoy, who's sitting in the front row here, our head of patient advocacy, and as I always say, one of our first employees, because very, very early on in our process, we realized that we would fail without the kind of collaboration that we've been able to develop with this community. And Hillary will talk a bit about a survey that we conducted with patient advocacy organizations to understand from your mouths precisely what it is that you contend with, and then incorporate that into how we design our studies. Us picking random endpoints that are not disease-specific can be helpful, but certainly not nearly as helpful as hearing directly from the parents and caregivers whose input is just critical to refining and making these outcome measures in our studies specific to the diseases that we're aiming to treat and specific to the experiences that you all endure. So Hillary will have an interesting discussion later on today on that topic. But we're also here thrilled to be able to announce the planned initiation of our phase 3 study. When people ask me about the various different things I've done in my career, what I say to them without fail every time is that the job ain't done until we have an approved therapy. And I think I can reflect back on the last 25 years of the work that I've been doing in and around clinical medicine and biotechnology, that this has always been, for me, the ultimate landing point, finding our way toward a potential novel therapy. I don't think there's any greater or more meaningful accomplishment that one can have than to deliver a meaningful, life-changing treatment to patients. And I'm thrilled to be able to announce that we're going to kick off our phase 3 study in the coming weeks. Dr. Mike Panzera, who's our Chief Medical Officer, is going to talk about that design of the phase 3 study. And he's also going to touch on the data that we were able to deliver from our phase 1/2 study called the Honeycomb study. Our phase 3 study is called the Beeline study. So we've got a bit of a theme on the honey and bee side. And Mike will spend time talking to you about why we've chosen to do what we're doing in phase 3 and also review some of the data and thinking that we've put toward analyzing what we've already done in the Honeycomb study. And I'm looking forward to having you hear about that. I can't overstate our excitement and pride in being able to advance this program. So just to restate, we're thrilled to be here. I feel it's a personal privilege to be up in front of you delivering these remarks, and I want to reinforce how grateful we are for all of the collaborative work that we've been able to do together, and hopeful that we'll be able to maintain that trajectory over the coming months and years as we progress into late-stage studies. One final comment in response to Keith's analogy on zebras or gribras. I suppose that when you are an orthopedic surgeon and you've got a broken ankle, it's pretty clear that it's if it quacks like a duck and waddles like a duck, it's a duck, which is another play on the same theme. When you're a neurologist and a psychiatrist, rarely do you have an opportunity to make it that simple. And almost uniformly, particularly when we're talking about neuropsychiatry, pediatric neurology, and of course these set of diseases, it's almost never straightforward. And that is incredibly challenging for all of us, certainly for you as parents, and I've heard it from Hillary countless times in her providing feedback to me on your collective experiences in managing through diagnostic workups with physicians, et cetera. I can tell you that we embrace that. We embrace the fact that these are complicated conditions. We understand that it isn't easy. It isn't easy for you as the parents and caregivers. It's not easy for the doctors. And frankly, it's not easy for us either. But therein lies the challenge and the purposefulness of all of this. So again, thank you for allowing us to participate. And thanks for the ongoing collaboration. And I'm just thrilled to be here in Orlando and wish you all a productive couple of days. Thank you.
Okay, so a few more housekeeping announcements before we begin. So our photographer, Cara Montes, is over here, and so she'll be taking photos throughout the conference. If you registered with kids, you should have been asked to sign a waiver when you arrived that you're okay with your kids being photographed. If you're not a kid and So the photos we're going to use in social media and other ways. If you don't want your photos used at all, you can go to the front desk and ask for a green lanyard, and then when we see photos that have any green lanyards in them, we will not use them. We were supposed to have gift bags for everybody when you arrived yesterday. Unfortunately, we got the stuff that goes in the gift bags, but the gift bags got delayed, and they're arriving today. So tomorrow, please go to the registration desk and everybody pick up a gift bag. We've got beach balls and water bottles and other fun things in there. I want to talk a little bit about some research that's going on today. So today's our big research day at the conference. I mentioned this yesterday to some of you, but we're part of Combined Brain, which has an industry consortium as part of it, and they do pre-competitive research. And for the first time, the members of the industry consortium said they wanted to focus their R&D efforts on GRIN disorders. And so they're funding a proteomics study that will help us identify biomarkers and potentially other ways that they can measure progress for treatments and cures. And so for the genes GRIN1, GRIN2A, GRIN2B, GRIA2, and GRIA3, we're trying to collect 25 blood samples from each of those genes this year. So I think everybody who has kids here probably already got approached by us about participating. If you haven't, we can take walk-ins today just around the corner. Like when you come into the registration, there's a hallway on your left. The medical room is down there. Welcome all of you to participate. And then even if you don't have a GRI person here, someone living with a GRI disorder here, we need controls under age 25. These controls have to be age matched. So if you have a sibling or if there's young parents here, most of the patients that we know of are under 25 years of age, so we need lots of age matched for young people, so we're focused on under age 25. We're also doing nasal swabs for GRI patients, so even if you don't want to do the blood draw, you can do that, and for that, the controls we need to be family and need to be same-sex. There's also a study that's taking part for GRIN2B families in particular. They are doing a study on GI, so gastrointestinal issues in our community. This is research that's funded by CureGRIN, and the blue muffin you see there is something that they use in the trial where they will give these muffins to patients and track how long it takes to go through, because you can see a different color on the other end. And so there's one focus. They had one focus group yesterday. There's another one today at 12:30 for GRIN2B families. And then there's also a muffin tasting and a demonstration of a GI app that is between 12:30 to 12:30. 12:30 to 1:30? Calliope, do you know? Okay, 12:30 to 1:30. Okay. And today we had breakfast with physicians. Were some of you there with in those sessions? Tomorrow we have breakfast with scientists. So Dr. Ian Koobs and Dr. Amy Ramsey, you can pick up your breakfast and chat with them. And the room capacity is limited to 20 people, so get there early. We also have our CureGRIN auction. So some items here, a bed from our sponsor that you can check out here from Abrams Nation, a guitar that's signed by Taylor Swift, and a blanket in the CureGRIN colors. We also have a lot of vacation homes. These are in Aruba, Bali, and Colorado. There's a lot of other vacations that are available on there. So please go to app.galabid.com/CureGRIN25 to check out what's there and to place your bids. And that's going to end tomorrow as we wrap up the conference.